how to define your path from employee to entrepreneur, what it looks like, how to take those first steps, and what is the right fit for you. Stay tuned, it will be coming right up. And I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, with more than 25 years experience in marketing and business, plus 15 years as an entrepreneur running my own 2 small businesses from home while raising my kids. I created this weekly show to bring you, along with my special guests, a mix of the strategies, business strategies that you need, mindset shifts, your personal health and wealth, well-being, as well as spirituality and energetics. All of those things combined that can help you be more successful in your journey as an entrepreneur. Made by women for women, this is your weekly dose of inspiration and motivation. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So joining me today on the podcast to talk all about this transition from employee to entrepreneur is Maja Taylor, who's a career ownership coach. She's going to explain exactly what that means, but just to give you a bit of background, she helps people explore opportunities outside of the traditional job market, helps them to really understand what their own path should be for their career, whether it is as an employee or whether it could be as a business owner, and what type of business owner there is. You know, she really enjoys watching people experience aha moments and create that life where they're living up to their full potential. Maja is a certified professional coach. She has a bunch of tools that she talks about, some really great frameworks. Make sure you listen right through to the end, because right in the last moments, she drops some absolute gold nuggets, some questions that you can use to really explore where you're at right now and what that focus for you might be. So without further ado, let me introduce Maja to you, and I hope you gain a lot out of this episode. Enjoy. Amazing. So I'm here in the virtual studio with lovely Maja Taylor. Hi, Maja. Welcome to She's a Business Podcast.
Oh, hi, Jessica. Thanks so much for having me. I was looking forward to this.
Yes, me too. Now, you have a very interesting of what it is that you do, a career ownership coach. So would you be able to explain to us a little bit about what is a career ownership coach, and what do you do in your business, and how do you get in? How did you even get into this?
Oh, great question. Before I answer that question, though, I want to say thank you so much, Jessica, for having me on. I enjoy your podcasts. I've been a listener, and I really appreciate all the knowledge that you're disseminating, the wonderful guests that you have on. I've picked up quite a few nuggets from them and from your podcast. So I want to just say to your audience, if you haven't done it already, go on and give Jessica 5 stars so she can continue her great work and keep sharing all the knowledge for all of you people out there who are wondering, what
Thank
is
you.
business ownership for me or not? Can I do this or not? Where am I in my life, and how do I even get started? You're such a fantastic resource, and I really appreciate it. And I just want to encourage your listeners to do the same. So thanks for having me on and for doing this. Yeah. So what's a career ownership coach? What do I do? So I'm a career coach helping you take ownership of your career, really. So what does that mean? I always phrase it as, wouldn't you really want to love what you do every day, most of your waking hours? And wouldn't you rather own your career rather than renting it from someone else or being dependent on what other people think of you or think of how much you're worth, or when is the last time you got that promotion or were acknowledged for a really great project or work that you did. This is you owning your career. That's basically what I help people do. So I work with career transitioners who maybe have flirted with the idea of, is business ownership for me? I'm not sure if I can do it, if I know how to. Maybe people who've thought about business ownership, entrepreneurship for a while and don't quite know where to start, maybe aren't aware of all the incredible resources out there. Entrepreneurship is a team sport. And I think a lot of people that I come across weren't aware of all the resources and support that is there. People like you, right? And just so much knowledge out there. And I connect them to that after we spend some time reflecting inward of what do you really, really want to do when you grow up? And that changes all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love that you called it a team sport. I was like, I have never thought about it like that before. And what a great analogy, because it is such a team sport. It really is the most hard thing to do on your own, as I discovered. And gosh, if I had or met somebody like you years ago, it would have just been so useful, because I spent, so sorry, just deviating off the path here, but I was like, I always knew I wanted to own my own business. Like when I was a teenager, I remember going to a job interview, and the guys asked me, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And here I am at 18. I was like, I see myself owning my own business. And here I was applying for a job as his PA, which I was going to be terrible at. But anyway, I didn't think I'd get the job. So I was just literally answering every question totally honestly. And then he hired me randomly, which was funny. But I was, you know, that was me at 18. And I think for the next, gosh, it would have been 15 years or more than that, I would have like, what could a business be? I'd see opportunities everywhere. My husband and I would spend all of these like road trips, you know, spitballing ideas and coming up with, you know, strategies for businesses. And they would, you know, have this amazing journey while we were in the car. We'd literally get out, you go back to work, and then that idea would fizzle out into nothing, right? But that was me. And it took me so long. I think then I got so bogged down and focused in my career, and, you know, then thinking, well, this is the path to where I want to be, that, you know, I squashed that sort of little entrepreneurial side of me for so long until you know, I was in my early 30s, and I was like, I'm going to give it a go. But of course, I tried to do it all myself with no help.
Yes.
It's like a team sport, and that was not the best idea.
Well, you know, I think a lot of your listeners can probably relate to that. I tried to take a stab at it on my own too. And it's hard to do it on your own when you still have a full-time job that's very demanding. Maybe you travel for your job. Maybe you have a family, right? That all takes time. So how much energy do you have to have left over at the end of the day to really think about creating something completely new? That's tough, right? So there's several paths to get into entrepreneurship. So you can do your own startup where you have all the creative ideas and do it on your own, and because you think your gift needs to come out in the world, more power to you, right? I found that to be a really tough way to get into, because you have to wear all the hats, right? Your marketing, your sales, your operations, your quality control. You got to do the hiring, and you just have to do everything. Mm-hmm. And maybe for you that startup space doesn't feel right. So then it's buying somebody else's. Do you buy somebody else's baby that's already been built? There's a business in place. Mm-hmm. Maybe it has a client base already. We have cash flow already. It's maybe a little bit easier, but then we're talking a lot more startup capital, right? You're investing in somebody else's baby. They're going to want to see a return on all their work as well. And then there's something more turnkey. That's kind of what I specialize in, right? Whether that's small business, somebody has figured out the template that works. If you plug and play the business in a box, for example, like a franchise, right? Yeah. Then you'll be successful if you follow the template. It's often an easier time for people who transition out of the world of work, working for someone else, into entrepreneurship, because you have so much more of a framework. You have support, there's training, there's guidance, there's people helping you, you know, not fall flat on your face with your first marketing. That was my toughest, marketing and sales. I'm just not good at, and I'm still not good at it, but that's okay, right? I have help and support in that. Yeah. So but you don't have to go at it alone. Isn't it? Yeah. And I'm really curious to explore that a little bit more. Like, how would you know what is the right model for you? Because, and again, sharing a little bit of some of my own experiences,
I started my own business first. That was my first business back in 2010. I just saw this opportunity. I did a little bit of research. I was like, wow, there's a massive opportunity and hole in the market here. Created something, but was still like 90% in my career. So I didn't put a whole lot of time and effort into it. But the beautiful thing was I actually got it to this point where it was profitable enough to afford a business manager that basically ran the business for me. And I was still profitable, but I sold it because I was like, I really want to focus on this business. And it wasn't my love. There was nothing. I created something based on an opportunity. And I don't think I'd ever do that again. I was like, it was actually really hard because in those moments where, as everyone knows, the journey's, it's not a straight line. There are ups and downs. You'll feel ups and downs. And I think as a woman, we tend to feel a down every month. And it's like, oh, I need to throw the whole thing away. Like, that's very common. You talk to any female entrepreneur and we'll all have those days in a month. It was during those times, I just was like, that was really hard to pick myself up and keep going with it because I didn't really love it. Like, I'd just done it because I could see a great opportunity. I was like, wow, someone needs to do this, so I'll do it. And so that was one kind of way of thinking about it. I think a lot of people go into business like looking for the opportunity, the smart thing, the hole in the market. And I'd say, well, if it's not something that you really love, then, really think carefully about it because your business exists. Like, it's not something that you just create and then and off it goes on its own. It's not even like a child that leaves the house. Like, you literally will have it for as long as you keep doing carefully about what it is that you do. Not to stop you doing it, but just to make the right choice there, because I've heard so many people say they've kind of created a prison for themselves or another job for themselves. It just feels like another chore. And it's like, yeah, there's a difference between working for yourself and I think really creating your own dream. And when we say dream, it always sounds so superficial, but I mean that honestly, in that you have a dream to own a business. It's why you want to do it. Really, what does that actually look like? It's not just about the money, because that that euphoria comes and goes in a moment. It's like, do you actually care about this? Do you want to be doing it all that time? So how do you help people decide, is that, what sort of business should I start? Should I, go into something where it's my own IP, like I've got a vision and I want to create it and make a difference? Or if I'm going to go into a franchise model, or if I'm going to buy a business that already exists, there's still those sort of layers of, is it something that you really love? Because no matter which one you choose, it can still feel like not the right fit. So how do you help people navigate that?
Great question. So I have to say, I am all about passion. Find something that you will enjoy doing, and then it won't quite feel like you ever go to work. But there's a caveat, right? This is also a misconception that people will, I'm going to create my own business, and because I'm passionate about, I don't know, teaching children, how to read and write. I just love that age group. And this is a space I've always excelled in. I have the skill set. I really want to do this. But you always have to remember that you're a business owner too. I have the skill set. I really want to do this. But you always have to remember that you're a business owner too. Right? A lot of people go into business because they're really good at something. They're an expert. They are specialized in a certain skill set. And the world really needs what they have to give and their passion. But there's this caveat. If it's a business, you have to remember to work it as a business. So I will say this. So starting with passion is great. But most people that come to me, that's not where they start. Their pain point is so high because either they were just laid off. There was just, this is the fourth downsize, capsize in my career in the last 5 years. I just talked to a client. How much longer am I going to do this? Right? I know even if I find another job, and the economy is there's a lot of instability in the market right now. It seems much tougher to find your next role, and it takes longer for people, right? So my classic client is career transition, have just been laid off again, or I have not been recognized for any of my work. They've been promising me promotions, but they just, cut the budgets. It's those pain points where they feel like their career is stalled or they're not acknowledged for the great work they do. The company has been bought out by PE, and now certain roles have been eliminated. They have double the work with, of course, not double the pay. Or they see, okay, 6 months from now, my boss let me know that my position is going to be eliminated. I have to start, figuring out what's next for me. Yeah. So most of the time people come to me when they're in that pain. And working with me is really an opportunity to just take a step back. Whether you're in the passion space or in the pain space, let's really ask some honest questions if this is the right direction for you to go in, right? When it's the passion space. If it's the pain space, I don't want your frustration clouding you, right? So I use assessments. I use a DISC assessment. I use career questionnaires and just other checklists to kind of explore. Where are your interests? What do you need out of your career so you can live the life that you want to live, right? Let's build your career around your life and not the other way around. Yes. I currently live in America, and especially in America, people spend a lot of time at work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So wouldn't you want that time to be spent in a way where it brings you joy, it benefits you, it helps you grow, you meet great people, you feel like you're making a contribution, right? You're having an impact. What does that look like to you? So we'll explore things like, what kind of lifestyle do you want, right? Maybe you have a family. Maybe you're headed towards retirement and you want to spend more time with the grandkids. Maybe you finally want to go on this cruise around the world that you've been dreaming about for the last 10 years, and you just need more balance, right? Most people come with that desire. Or is it you still need to make up ground for your retirement, so then you can ride off into the sunset, but the current paycheck or savings that you have aren't going to get you there. Maybe you need more income, right? A lot of people talk about either work-life balance. What does that mean to you, right? Yes. Financial freedom. What does that mean to you? How much do you need? What's enough? Or what is the gap that we're trying to close here? So kind of exploring some goals around that. And I will get in the nitty-gritty with you. So the clarifying of your goals is definitely first. I want to start with the end in mind. Because I want to be intentional about the models we explore. Just like you were saying, there's so many out there. What's the right fit? Exactly. So rather than us just throwing spaghetti on the wall.
Because there's so many options. It's like that. And I think I love that you said that, because I take the exact same approach, when I'm working with, a business owner on their marketing strategy. It's like, this is not just about making sales. This is about what is it that you're actually creating, and are you going to enjoy it once you've created it? Because if what you're creating is going to require you working 60 hours a week, but you've gone into business because you want to spend more time with your kids and maybe you want to exercise and have a bit of a lifestyle, that's not the right option for you. Like, what you're selling isn't going to be the right option, but you can still get to that revenue goal another way. It's just like, there are so many different ways to do it. It's more about apply the right strategy so you get the outcome that you want. And I feel like that's, to me, one of the biggest mistakes people make within their own business and how they're defining it. And now I'm hearing from you, it's sort of like a really big mistake that people make even when they're deciding what type of business they want to run or how they're going to go about it. Because they just, would you agree that people are focused mostly on how can I make money? Like, I guess is the first thing.
And of course,
it's an important thing. Like, you want to have a business that makes money, or it's not a business, it's a hobby, right? So,
absolutely.
We definitely don't want the passion project that you're just going to spend money on and not make money. That's not a business. So absolutely agree with you. It needs to be business worthy, but there's no one right way and there's not one single choice. So what is it like when people are starting and they're thinking, okay, so I'm now seeing that there's lots of different possibilities of the, type of business. I could start my own. I could get a franchise. I could buy one that exists. What are some of the things that you look for or that you pick up, say, in the DISC assessment, where you'd be like, okay, well, you're really well suited to this kind of model? And then do you kind of start there and then go down into like, what might that be? Or do you start with more, what's the thing that you're going to do? Like, what are your skills? And then look at business structure. I'm really curious how you might approach that.
Great question. So there's really an art to it, right? And it depends on how business savvy my conversation partner is already. I work with people who have businesses already, and maybe they want to create additional income streams. So then it might need to be a little bit more of a passive model. Maybe the whole passion factor isn't quite as important, or maybe it is. So how do I approach it is after we clarify the vision, like my job is to get my client to a point of clarity. And by the way, the two assessments that I mentioned, I will give a freebie to your listeners today. Like if you reach out to me on either my website, majataylor.com, and that's Maja with a J, or you reach out to me on any of the social media, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and book a call with me. I will give you a free disc assessment and a debrief. That regardless of what you decide to do, whether you try to stay in your career or, buy a business, don't buy a business, buy a franchise, you will get some value out of this. And that is a valuable assessment just for you to have some self-awareness. I think most people don't take that time and space to really reflect. How do I like to work? What is my communication style? What are the things that even motivate me, that make me get up Monday morning, both feet hit the ground running, and I'm off, excited to go do what I'm doing now, right? How do we find that sweet spot? The disc kind of helps give direction. And then the career questionnaires and kind of the coaching journey that I take my clients to really clarify that. It kind of narrows down the scope. So also, how do you want to work, right? Do you want to do something full time? Do you want to work remotely, virtual? That seems to be like the virtual nomad seems to be the fashionable thing to do. But I still need enough people who want to have a store or a brick and mortar, or, wellness is a big area that people want to get into. It's just become more important. Maybe you love working with animals. If you like working with kids, maybe you'd like to do that. Some people like to look after, senior folks and help them just navigate their phase in their life. So maybe you like home improvement. Maybe you're a DIY person and you like remodeling your house or decorating or whatever. Maybe that's your hobby or passion, right? And coupled with how they want to work, that's kind of how I narrow it down, and try to find an opportunity that's interesting for them to learn more about. I'm not claiming to be a matchmaker. I'm not. But there's thousands of opportunities out there. Let's help you learn about the right ones. So this is really kind of charting the learning journey for them. And then they will pick up things that they probably would have never looked at on their own. Right? And throughout that process, you get clarity on which is the next best step to take.
It's so important to do that, process. And often there are things that you probably haven't even realized are right in front of you. I think the funny thing I notice, and I definitely had this myself as well, is you almost overlook the stuff that you already do that you're really good at. And when I'd been thinking about my second business, I had actually been in conversations with a franchise business for Pilates studios, because I really love Pilates. I was going to one and I was like, yes, I could do that. And I wasn't a Pilates instructor, but I kind of was like, well, that's no barrier. I don't need to be one in order to own a studio. And then it was like literally, I was in those chats looking at it. It was all looking really good as a business model. But I had these moments where I was like in the shower going, I'm just thinking about marketing and branding, thinking about businesses. And I was like, okay, I could just do that for my own business, but I just had this real desire to help other people. Like I was seeing it everywhere. I was thinking about it without even it being a job or anything. And I'm like, couldn't I just do this as my business? Like it was so in front of me that I actually had been blind to it. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. It's sort of like, oh, dummy, you've been doing this your whole life. And in my professional life, that it can be a business. But I had been sort of trying to find new ideas and opportunities sort of outside that I hadn't even really noticed what I already had. And I think that could be something. Do you see that happening with people where they kind of don't even count their own, like what they already are good at, what they're already like, what you could think about, talk about, it's like when you have a conversation with someone and they ask you a question, you're like, well, there's a can. I'm just like, can't stop talking because you're really interested in it and you want to help people. Or maybe it's something that you're just really interested in. There's often so much that's right there that I think, those assessments sound like it's going to help people maybe see the invisible that's in front of them right now.
That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually probably the second most often showstopper for people. Not knowing that they already have all the skills transferable skills that would lend itself well to their own business. And I was surprised by how many people don't get the opportunity to use those types of assessment or have that time space to really just think about, right? How often do we really do that? We're just busy. We just go from one thing to the next. There's work and there's the kids and there's dinner. I got to grocery shop and pay the bills and we got to plan the trip and Aunt Betsy is calling. Right? There's just so many things. And I come from a talent development space and a science space. That was my first half of my career was scientific. So it was always ask the right questions, and by process of elimination in the experiments, you figure out what's the right answer, right? What's the pass or fail. And it's not really that different for humans. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what doesn't work or what you don't like and eliminate that to kind of narrow it down to, here's the light bulb moment. That's what it is. And I love those light bulb moments. Those aha moments, that's my high. That's my drug. I've always loved helping people figure that out. So I absolutely love what I do. and helping people see that, actually, I do have leadership skills. I'm pretty good at project management because I just, completed this, XYZ project for my boss or with my team. They have their particular technical background, whether that's marketing or science or product development. Maybe they're a good manager. So the assessments kind of help them put the mirror up and show them there's so much more to you than what you can see right now. And if your current profession doesn't allow you to do that, there isn't enough time and space for that. You don't even think in those realms, right? Or worse, I have some people who come to me that have been pretty abused by their current workspace, where literally the boss comes in and tell you, you're not qualified to do the job. I mean, that happened to me, right? You're not qualified to apply for this. So let's talk about what do I need to do to move up to my next level? And there never was really any support. So oftentimes I meet people in that space. So I think that whole reflecting on all the skill set that you do have is really important. And then we'll find something that matches you. And maybe there are skills that you still want to learn or grow. Most people come to me saying that, you know what, I just feel so stuck here. I don't feel like I can grow anymore. And then, this might be your next chapter. Let's explore.
Yeah, there's always more. Like, you can never really stop learning. And especially if you're thinking about going into your own business, like, wow, get ready, strap in, because you're going to be learning the whole time, right? I mean, it's incredible how much there is, and you still feel like you're a beginner. 15 years of doing this, I still feel like I'm a beginner. And I'm like, when are we going to get to this point where you don't feel like a beginner anymore?
I don't think that'll happen. You'll be bored then. You'll find something new.
I'll be bored. I won't like it. Then I'll quit. No, I need something new. There's so much. And I think, like you were saying before, you can finding your transferable skills definitely can show you a path, but it's also like, don't be afraid of the skills that you may not have yet. Like, maybe you've never done marketing before or sales before. That doesn't mean that you can't be a business owner and start a business. Like, they are skills. That just means that you learn them. Everybody learns them, and you might find that you actually can be far more natural at it than what you realized. I think we all tell ourselves things like, oh, I'm not good at that, or I'm not a salesperson.
Yes.
But how many people say that? I think the majority of people, there's very few who say I'm great at sales.
Correct.
But actually, I think that if you just allow yourself to sort of notice some evidence or experiment and see, you might find that you're okay. Like, I would be someone that says I'm not good at sales, but I remember, early on in my career, I had a job as a marketing person in a team, but it was for a hotel group in London, and every now and then they needed me to take people on a sales tour for corporate contracts, and I'm thinking, sure, I'll do that, thinking I'm not actually doing selling, I'm just taking them on a tour. But then they would be signing up, and the team would say to me, no, that's your client, your contract, you put it through. And I was like, I was almost a bit shocked and surprised, but I think I was just so honest on the tours. So my style was just tell them how it is and the things, and say, well, there's that option, but this one, and blah blah blah. And I would just tell them, I wasn't trying any kind of tactics. I wasn't trying to sell them on it. I was literally just showing them around, and it worked. And so I went, oh, maybe it's actually not as hard as it needs to be. Maybe you just be yourself and tell people the things, how it really is. And I kind of went, at that moment, thought, oh, okay, maybe I can do sales, or maybe I am all right at it. But still, I still have those moments even now where I think I'm not good at sales. And, if that's you too, don't worry, everybody thinks that. I just encourage you to look at the evidence that contradicts it, because you might find, oh yeah, well, what if you had to, you were selling chocolates for, fundraising or whatever it was, like my daughter's netball team, they get a box of chocolates they've got to sell. And it's amazing when you watch a child who's got no preconceived notion of whether they're good at sales or not. Just go, right, I'm just going to walk around, and she will just get rid of them in half an hour. Like, she walks around at a football match in the crowd, and she sold all of the chocolates. And it's just because there was like no filter there at all, no preconceived notion that
it wasn't sales. She wasn't selling.
She's just like, yeah, that's cool, great, here you go.
Yeah.
And like, wouldn't that be great if we could not make things too hard, like stop thinking things are hard that they're not, and be like, yeah, there's always going to be more that we can learn. Like, we can always develop skills in different places, and it doesn't have to stop you. But what would you say, apart from that challenge that you just mentioned, what are some of the other challenges that people, they're like, oh, I like the sound of this, but then they stop and sort of stay in where they are just because it's more of the known. It is always scary to step into a new space, do something different to what you've known before. What are the other challenges that people perceive or that they experience that you think, you could help remove during that transition, make the transition easier?
You mean other than I can't do this because I'm too stupid, or I'm too slow, or I don't even know where to start? Yeah, there's all this like I can't, or the self-doubt, or
And you think that you're the only one with the self-doubt, right?
That's right.
Like,
you are. Everybody thinks I am such an imposter and such a fraud. Yeah. Oh my gosh, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to listen to this podcast, right? I just pretend it's just you and me in this room. But no, people often get stuck on just knowing where they are right now. It must continue, right? And I can't afford it.
Yes, that would be a big one.
I would challenge you to flip that thought. How much money are you losing by not exploring, venturing out? Like, how can you not afford to bet on yourself? You're always going to listen to someone else who tells you what you're worth, who decides whether you're good enough.
You're not worth. Let's face
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
who's going to decide, are you getting promoted, or who's going to decide your services are no longer needed here, and it's a surprise for you. So how safe and how secure is that job and income then, right?
Yeah.
It's happened to me enough times where I was like, I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I can't, what I thought was safe isn't really safe at all. And it looks less safe by the day. Yes. If I look into the economy now. And also, my last role had a revolving door of bosses. I mean, every on average, every 3 to 6 months, there was a new VP, a new person who decided they had a bright, new, shiny strategy of how things should go and what we should be focusing on. And the whole time I stayed in my role, I did achieve my goals and objectives. We launched global projects, and the person at the top just kept changing. So what am I doing here, right? Why am I? And it was never good enough. I remember one of your podcast guests talking about, because I'm a woman, I couldn't get promoted. I think women face this more because the world of work, the world of business, except for certain professions, but mostly it's still dominated by men, and women still make less for the same role than men do. I mean, that's just a fact, right? That I know people don't like really talking about this, but it's just a fact. So are you going to continue to let that limit you, or are you going to take your skill set that is significant and take it to benefit you, rather than building somebody else's dream? Go build your own, and know that there is so much to learn before you make that step. It'll be a safe transition. It'll be a journey where you can feel confident in the decision that you make. Right? None of my clients are still wandering around in the desert and wondering whether they made the right or the wrong choice. We'll get you to that point of clarity. And maybe business ownership is not for you, and that's okay. And then we'll celebrate that. If you answered that with clarity through all the tools and resources and assessments that we took, that's fine. And I will connect you with people that can help you with next steps. But if business ownership is for you, know that you don't have to go at it alone, right? If you think, I am bad at sales, I am bad at technology, that's one of my pet peeves, right? I'm like, if my computer breaks, I call my son, or
I know, and it'll always do things when you're least expecting it. Like,
right. But let's just say something goes awry. I have somebody that I can call, even if I'm, traveling or at the beach somewhere. I don't have to drop everything I'm doing. I know there's somebody that can help me because I have that backup.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Know that you don't need to go at it alone, and that there is support out there for you. So I think the I can't do it is probably one of the bigger ones, and the I can't afford it is another big one. But the education around, how do I fund my business ownership path? How do I do that? Is part of our learning journey. So you will learn a lot about that section too, because, well, we're in business, to be profitable and make money. And to some people, how do you get there? That's intimidating. The investing in yourself, that's intimidating. We'll learn about that and make it less intimidating.
Absolutely. And, all of these things, it does take that bit of bravery where you go, well, no one knows what the future holds. You don't know, is it going to be what even's going to happen tomorrow? No one knows that. And I think that it's that's what everyone's scared of, right? We're scared of the future. But once we can kind of come to terms with that, it's like, well, you can create it, right? So if you just stay where you are, carry on thinking what you are and don't do anything, don't change, then you're going to still be where you are, essentially. It'll be a different day, a different year, a different month. Or you can decide, well, I'm going to shape that future, because every action or decision that you make essentially then shapes the future. But it is almost yours. I think so many people feel so trapped, right? You kind of feel trapped in circumstance. And definitely when you're in a job, I know I definitely felt that. And I think that was part of me rebelling when I finally left. I was like, oh, I can't be trapped in here anymore. And like you had that experience of people saying, you're not qualified for that role. I had someone saying to me some things like, well, if you've got a child at home and you're working a day from home, you can't do this job. I'm like, I've already been doing it. So you're like, when you're like, this is insanity. We're having a crazy conversation here, but why am I even here having this conversation with people who are so small-minded that they can't think about it? You just go, well, that's not the place to be. Or you choose to stay there. It's like, well, that's your choice. No one's ever making you. You're not a tree. You're not rooted to the ground. You can move if you want to. And I think, you will know deep down, like we said before, I think we were chatting before we turned on the recording about entrepreneurship. And I think people who kind of have that inclination, like you have it, and you know whether you have it or not, and whether or not you activate it, that's your choice. Like I said, I had it ever since I was a kid, and it took me a long time to actually take action on it and do it. But I think that it's almost like once you do activate it, you know whether it is the right thing for you. You probably already know before you're going to make that choice whether you have that in you, because otherwise you wouldn't be thinking about it. You wouldn't have had that thought in the first place if it wasn't part of you.
We're conditioned, right? What are we told when we're kids, right? You go to school and you study hard, you get good grades, you get yourself an education, and then you graduate and you go to college. And then when you go to college, and sometimes maybe you don't go to college, that's fine too, but you go and you work hard.
And you get a good job.
And you get a good job. That's what you do, right? That's the matrix. So how true is that belief for you? Is that really what you believe, or did somebody else put it there? So I have to say that I've met entrepreneurs who then, and I say this now too, they can't go back working for somebody else because either they're so creative that was stifled at work, or they are so independent and that was stifled at work, right?
Yeah.
Or they really like the money and the income that they're bringing home right now, and the wealth and the equity that they're building for themselves, can't go back to work, right? Or maybe it's all of the above. So maybe it's the freedom, the time freedom that you get to decide that you can go to your kid's soccer game, or you go to the doctor's visit with your husband or whatever, right? So you are in control of your life. To me, that was the biggest one. The whole freedom component, that was the biggest one. And then, of course, the money is nice, right?
Of course. Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it, because, our whole society and system, ever since, the Industrial Revolution, and they needed workers for the factories, it's like the schooling is created to create workers. And so the people who do well at school, they're like, the A players, they come out and then they work for C players who are like the entrepreneurs.
Ooh, ouch.
I've heard that. And you look around and you're like, obviously it's not always 100%. Sometimes the A player is also the shifter and changer and someone who's got the vision. But, we're schooling people and we've all been through it. So it's like, we were taught how to be good employees. And I look back and think everything that we were being done, it's like, ask permission for this, ask permission for that. Can you go on holiday? Oh, not unless you get permission for it. Do you want to do anything? You're always in this mold. And then if you dared to try to be a little bit different or push the boundaries a bit, that was like not a good thing, right? As an employee, you kind of pulled into line for that. And it's like, if that's you, it's not, nothing's wrong with you. You're probably just not destined to be the employee. Probably like you're actually, you're destined to be someone who's creating something, who's shaping how things are, who's, helping serve others. And I see a huge shift, I think, happening already. Like more people are kind of waking up to that. And it's exciting to think of what the future will hold. You're like, you mentioned before the DISC assessment, which is one of the ways to, one of your many tools and one of the ways that you can get to know yourself a lot. What have you, because I remember doing these back in the days when I was an employee, and you'd have some, HR training person come in and you do an assessment, and it always just felt so like, okay, what does that really mean? And I think by the next day, I would literally have forgotten what my profile was and it meant nothing. And then as an entrepreneur, the difference was incredible. I would do an assessment as just a person and looking at it from, my own strengths and my business. And it had just have so much more relevance and so much more power and weight to just really understanding myself, that I found them like, it's like totally different, chalk and cheese, but the same assessment that I've done before now is like, wow, the insights, the knowledge, the gain that you get from it. Now I've just found so much higher. Do you see other people that experience that? They kind of come in and they're like, oh, I've done that before, or, that type of thing. And then go through the process and have some incredible sort of insights just because of a slightly different take on it that they're having?
Yes, for sure. There's always right time, right place, right? And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And in every interaction, we're like a student and the teacher, like just right here, right now, right? I'm learning things from you, and hopefully vice versa too.
Yeah.
It's the assessment that you took 2 years ago or 10 years ago. You were in a different space in your life. Maybe you were working for a different boss or a different company. Maybe you lived in a different city, maybe a different country, right? Influences in your life or things that happened to you shaped you, right? So your responses will be different. And the nice thing about a DISC assessment is it flexes and moves with you throughout your career, throughout your life. So all those things will impact it. It's probably not going to be the opposite of, or a huge shift, because our dominant style is formed early on. But
yes.
It'll give you insights and nuances. And if you have a prior assessment, I would actually challenge people, like bring it to one of our sessions and we'll compare what has changed, right? And that gives more insights as well. So this is just one of the things that we use to help us make decisions, but it's not the only one. Because I always want to caution too, it's only an assessment. There's you as the person, you are the driver here. This is your journey. You make the decision, the best ones for you. It's just one of the tools, right? It doesn't mean that it's 100% right, but I go through a full debrief with people so they have actionable things to walk away with. And we do set goals around that. So I make that really clear. I'm a goal person. I'm a big believer in live your life by design. You be in the driver's seat and decide what you're going to spend your time doing. Time is the only commodity that we don't get back. And we sometimes squander it. So be intentional about where you put your attention and where you put your energy, right? So, and the assessments can help give you a direction. It's not the answer. You have to get the answer, but it'll help you give a direction.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like it's a tool and you don't have to kind of take it on and go, well, that is me then. It's like I always find with those, it's how you look at it and what you're going to take out of it. What is the gold that's in there that you might not have known or fully realized, or something that you can gain from it. I think people get worried about being told who they are from an assessment, from a tool. It's like, no, you still decide that. You decide how much of it's true, how much is accurate, or what parts. But I think it's really good to do them and, just explore, well, what is there that maybe you didn't see before? If you have done it before, like you say, I'm pretty sure I get the same outcomes from that one each time, but there's something new that comes to light that sort of like that stands out. I think when you do it, like, oh yeah, I hadn't really paid attention to that bit before. And like you say, it's because it's the right time that something's prompting you to explore it, and it can often just be that little nudge. Maybe it helps with the self-doubt, maybe it helps with the decision, the direction, because everything that you gain, that knowledge you gain, the more you know about yourself, the better decisions you can make, right? If
you're willing to go on that journey, I can guarantee you will surprise yourself. I had a client last year who her background was marketing, and through our assessments, she realized that, oh yeah, I am good at this, and I'm good at, And I really enjoy working with seniors, and I really enjoy working with my husband. Surprised, she felt like she wasn't seeing her. Not that doesn't work for everybody. Some couples, they like, their separate careers, and then they go do, the happy married couple stuff, travel or whatever, or the kids. That's a different track. But she discovered that her career in marketing up to this point really helped her start a estate sales company. And she enjoyed her community and interacting with the people who were just transitioning out of their houses, right? Or liquidating business with them. She's just really thriving now. And that was something that she didn't even consider before. She was thinking about, I'm a marketing director, and that's my skill set, and I need to stay in that lane. I had another client who his background was engineering, and he after our journey of discovery, this was several weeks, he ended up choosing a dog walking and pet sitting business, and he decided to do that with his children. They were grown kids, and he wanted to spend more time with them. So now it's dad and the kids building this business, and they're having a blast. And
awesome.
And he came from an engineering background, and automotive industry. So this is a very different industry, a very different environment, and they're thriving. So that's why I'm saying, just have an open mind, because you will surprise yourself and how your existing skills can apply to that particular business model. You might fall in love with something that you never thought about. Actually, I want to say probably about 90 to 95% of my clients that end up going into business ownership end up in one they would have never thought of on their own.
Yeah, wow.
That's why this journey of discovery is just so important.
So important. Yeah, absolutely. And that skills and knowledge can be so transferable so much further than what you originally think. Right, because what your original context is, there's a whole raft of different contexts that you could apply to it that you probably aren't doing, just because that's not what you're used to. You're used to looking through the lens that you already have. That's amazing. So Maja, I'll definitely have the link in the show notes for your socials, your website. You said if anyone reaches out, mentions She's the Business podcast, that you're going to provide them with a free disc assessment and debrief, which is so incredibly generous. I want to really thank you for that, and make sure people are listening. Please go and do it. Even if you've done it before, like I said, I've done some in my corporate life. Trust me, even if you still are in a business, as an employee, but you're starting to think, well, wow, is there something else out there for me? Do it, because you will gain something different from it when you're not just applying your current job context to the outcome. When you're thinking about it in a broader sense and, of yourself and what's possible in your life, you will absolutely gain far more from it. So I really encourage you to do that. Is there any other, final piece of nugget of wisdom that you'd love to leave people with, Maja, before we wrap up?
Well, I would say, look at your 5 major life corners, right? Look at your health and wellness. How are you doing in that? And what's your level of satisfaction there? Some people have weight loss goals. Some people have fitness goals, or, I need to age better, or whatever it is. Think about that corner in your life and how your current career and lifestyle is supporting that. Think about your financial well-being. That's another corner of well-being, right? Does your financial life support what you still want to do? What about your own self-development, your growth, your connection, your spiritual connection and growth? Think about that corner. What is your level of satisfaction there? And how does your profession, your current profession, support that? How does if you're already a business owner, does it really allow you to thrive at the highest level? Then your relationships, that's another big corner, right? Look at all your relationships, the intimate one, the close family ones, maybe to your kids, to your parents, your circle of friends. And then, the outer ring is more like the other associates that you have, or people that you kind of occasionally see. How do they help you better, right? Because I'm sure you've heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with most?
Mm-hmm.
Do they help you still grow and stretch? Do they support? Because sometimes this is one thing we didn't really touch on so much. The friends and family mean well. They love you. They know you. Maybe they care enough about you that they don't want you to get hurt or fail, but they also have their own preconceived notions. Don't let somebody else's idea of who you are or what life should look like limit your own ideas. Make sure it's your choice. This is one life. You get to live it. You decide your marching direction, right? I can't stress this enough.
Yeah, they project their fear onto you. So you've just got to be really aware of that. Like, that is their fear, that's their limiting view, and you can choose whether you agree with it and adopt it or not, but you don't have to take it on. People do that without knowing it. They're not doing it intentionally, but, with their best intentions, that's
absolutely
what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah. Oh, that's so valuable. You've just left a huge gold nugget there at the end. Wow, there you go. Like, press pause, go back, replay, listen to those corners of your life again, and just ask yourself the question, if you're out walking, maybe just pause between each one and really ask yourself, how is that going? And if you're at home, it would be a great way to do a little bit of journaling. If you've just got 5 minutes now, just sit down with your pen and paper and jot down what's coming to mind, because these are the places, whatever comes up, that's what you've got to explore. That's sort of like your breadcrumbs, right? You're on the trail. And obviously Maja is really well experienced in helping you to find the breadcrumbs and to explore them and see what's there for you. So absolutely reach out to her for another chat if you'd like to get some help and take that further. But thank you so much for being here today, Maja. I really appreciate your time. So generous with your knowledge and time.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, audience. And I would love to, stay in touch and see how we can help support, build a better world for entrepreneurs, because I think that's where it's at. I think that's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you on that one, Maja. Thank you so much.